Aloha, ladies and gentlemen. Stock market today analysis for Wednesday, February 8th, 2023. In the description of this video, you'll have a link to iofsuccess.com. And what you see now is going to be changing up a bit. I've been working on this website for less than a year, but maybe getting close to a year. And the mission will basically remain the same, but it's I'm getting it a little more dialed in. By the way, that's me. Yeah, just getting it a little more dialed in. You're still gonna have access to these downloads, but don't wait. Go ahead and download those now. In fact, there is a playlist. I think it's called Options Playlist for Beginners, with beginners in all caps. It is a few lines below the link in the description. There's 5 videos in there. And at 1 minute and 30 seconds, there's going to be a video popping up here that tells 5 reasons why you should sell cash secured put options. When you know why, the how-to becomes a lot easier. In between these 2 downloads here and those 5 videos on that playlist, that'll really help you figure out the how-to. And as I mentioned, when you know the why, which is going to be popping up, boom, there it is. 5 reasons why. It ultimately will be put together. And then once you have a theoretical understanding, I would recommend paper trade it. Paper trading allows you to test things out without actually losing money. You know, maybe you'll paper trade it for a long time, maybe you won't. That's, it's all up to you. What I want to do is I want to help you think for yourself and make decisions for yourself. Just kind of give you some information so you can start processing that information and get it and put it together. So be on the lookout. I will be letting you know when things are changing. I'm working on bringing some products to market, and it's a nice challenge for your good buddy Brent. Speaking of challenging, the stock market, not too surprisingly, has had a bit of a pullback. We're looking at the futures right now, and these 4 right here are the main they're futures of the main stock market indices. Each one of them had a candle that's lowering. Now, I live in Hawaiian Standard Time Zone, so for example, give you an idea of what that means. What time is it? So right now, it's 5:25 p.m. in Eastern Standard Time. Now, this is the time that the market trades on. Right? You see, I'm only at noon. Right? I get it. 12:25. Right? But whatever. Close enough. So what you can do, regardless of whatever time zone you're in, when the market is closed, you can keep your eye on the futures. If you don't want to watch all 4 of them, then just pay attention to the ES. In fact, if you have a smartphone, Yahoo Finance has a free app that as soon as you pull it open, you're going to see the S&P futures, Dow future, NASDAQ future, and the Russell 2000 future. So that'll, when you're on the go, you can pay attention to what's going on with the futures if you want to. You don't need to. Totally up to you. But VIX futures rose a little bit today. Got that 10-year Treasury yield future selling off a little bit. Crude oil. Which candle is that for? Okay, this was the candle from yesterday. Here's our candle from today, and seems to be, at the moment, we got lots of volume coming through there, but maybe slowing down in the momentum. Right, that it definitely still has time. The futures trade for about like 23 hours a day, so there's definitely time. And natural gas sold off a little bit, but see how it's kind of this nice round, making this nice round bottom here. It might keep going along the bottom, but it's just good to take note versus the strong pivot here. Gold and silver, both trading in the bottom 50% of the previous big down candle drop. Right, try to get up tried to get up to that 50%, roughly at 50% mark today, and then sold off. And silver really at the bottom of it. These are, believe it or not, there's some politics behind these two metals. So it doesn't surprise me at all for these to sell off. Bitcoin, after its rally right through here, rallied up a little more, and now it's just been going sideways a bit, which is great for the bulls, right? Because that's a significant higher amount sideways, kind of in this range between 22,000 to 24,000, maybe more aptly about 23 to 24. If it keeps staying there and it doesn't, if you see it starting to come down and fail and break down through 22, it's probably a better sign for the bears. But for the bulls, that's pretty good. If you live in a state that gives you enough freedom to trade this, then like me personally, I wouldn't be doing a long-term investment on Bitcoin. Just me personally, like I'm not going to go through a bunch of stuff that I've heard that are rumors, but sometimes where there's smoke, there's fire, and just things that I've seen because I first became aware of Bitcoin when it first came out around 2007 or so from Simon Black of Sovereign Man Confidential. I think it's Confidential, but yeah. So Simon Black was talking about that way back when it first opened, and then around 2017, I noticed a really big change in philosophy around Bitcoin. And then there's other things too. There's just been more and more stuff coming out. So if I wouldn't hold Bitcoin for long term, what would I do with Bitcoin? If I live in a state that gave me enough freedom to speculate in it, I would trade it. I would day trade it. I would trade it for short term trades. If you can get in the movement here, that's a good amount of money. You can sell options on Bitcoin, although from what I hear, the market is very, very thinly traded, and it's there's some difficulties in there. And so, but why? Me personally, I figured why trade options on Bitcoin when I can just trade options on crude oil if I want some risk, or I can trade options on a lot of other products. But that's what we're looking at on the futures market. Let's look at the general markets, how they closed for the day. Now these three we already went over. We got the dollar that rallied up and sold off just a little bit, but it's still, if you look at a longer duration, we're looking at 1 month and 1 day chart, really kind of pulled back, and compared to where it was X amount of months ago, it really has sold off. But maybe it's going to be running to some resistance around here at 28. 20-year TLT, which is kind of representative of 20-year treasury bonds, has had a bit of a sell-off here, right? So basically today's price action, we're back here in the range of price action 30 days ago. So kind of rallied up and sold off. Now, for a while, the stock market's basically been trading similar to TLT. So we'll see if this is if that correlation is still in play, where it's going to sell off a little more. I don't know. I don't really. I know that it had been going on, but I don't know how strong that correlation is. So I haven't been placing financial bets on that. VIX rose up a little bit today, but still under 20. But compared to where here, not too long ago, it was just at 17. I don't think this is anything to say it's totally changed direction. I think maybe once maybe it starts getting closer up to 22, maybe. If it's getting closer up to 22, we'll be seeing some more sell-off here in these indices. It's basically the VIX is based off option action on the SPX. So we had a downward candle on all the major indices, and but not necessarily breaking this upward trend, right? Not necessarily. kind of, right, it's still sort of in harmony with that trend. What would this one, basically still moving sideways, starting to move sideways over here, and yeah, you know, I could still say in the NASDAQ, you know, we haven't fully broke this upward trend at the moment, and I guess there's an argument to be made for that same conclusion in the Russell 2000. However, the Russell 2000, we're really pressing it a lot more. If we start getting more movement to the downside, then then it becomes a little more suspicious if this low bull rally is over, at least in the Russell. Same thing with the NASDAQ, right? If it starts kind of breaking below this, what number is that? If it starts breaking below this 12,430, something there. If it starts testing in this range lower tomorrow, then that's not as indicative of strong bullish trend. Strong bullish trend, if we just see a continuation going up tomorrow, then it'll give us more of an idea that the strength of the upside. It could still pull back and regain its upward momentum, but it just kind of giving us an idea of how strong the trend is, right? We had a strong trend here, pulled back. Now if it starts breaking down here, if it starts like testing at breaking down past this 4,100, same thing. If we see it kind of going up, also it could be going sideways, right? If we start seeing it going sideways, that's definitely what the NASDAQ is doing here. So just be ready for anything. It's 12 sectors of the stock market. What do we see? Okay, technology doesn't seem to be. You got to test this like 140. If we start testing this 140, we'll see what happens at that test. If it just like springs back up, we really have to kind of see what's going on tomorrow. Over here in energy, we had an update, and then yesterday was an update. Today, kind of selling off, which doesn't really surprise me. Hitting this around this $88 level seems to be some support resistance area, which ultimately, look at sideways, right, from here to here. Consumer discretionary, not looking as looking a little more like the bull rally might be at least a short-term stall. And we got these 4 days of going sideways, and just the amount that they pulled back. If it would have pulled back to around here and then back up in here again, a little more even in there, but I don't know what the value, how much of a value we want to put in trend lines, because they are pretty subjective. But ultimately, in my opinion, my subjective opinion is that I'm making decisions with inaccurate, incomplete information. I'm just looking to try to make a decision with inaccurate, incomplete information. And for me, this is kind of looking like it's more likely to be going sideways. Consumer staples definitely kind of still in this downward trend. Utilities in this downward trend. Real estate was in this upward trend, but the same kind of looking like the consumer discretionary seems to be kind of moving downwards, sideways, even though these are green candles. So we will see, but it's doesn't seem like it seems like it violated. Like if it would have sprung back up right here, then it kind of would have been more in line with this. But at the moment, I'm like, I don't know. I'm thinking, are we going sideways? Or are we going to start moving down? We could, be going up, but like this looks to me like, okay, there's nothing indicating that we're violating this upward trend. Right? To me, this is suspicious. Over here in the retail, it is really pulled back quite a bit. Same thing. If you kind of look at this line that it was following here, it pulled back, but it could still go up. It's just something to take note of. you're not gonna prove any cases in a court of law with this, but you don't have to do that. You have to make money, and you don't need to prove things beyond a reasonable doubt to a group of peers in order to make money in the stock market. What you do need to do, though, is figure out how to manage risk in case you're wrong. XLF, right? We seem to, not, I wouldn't say it's really broken this uptrend, but looking sideways just here, kind of pulled back. See how tomorrow goes with that. And industrials is definitely up compared to where it was at a month ago, but kind of looks sideways. It's like really not up that much. Looks a little more sideways to me. And even though this is up, basic materials looks like it's could be just moving in the sideways realm. And our communication ETF here, this candle is making it a little suspicious. We'll have to see what happens tomorrow. So none of that really surprises me, actually, because I've been thinking for a while that there's a pretty high probability that we're going to be range bound quite a bit this year. And that seems to be what we're seeing here. If we want to zoom in, we're getting up in this area. See where that pivoted here? Pivoted here. I get it. That's a little higher. It's a little lower. Pivoted here, but it's still sort of in that range. And look at that. Kind of right in this range. So let's see how much it pulls back. It could pull back. It could pull back a little. It could have a little pullback like this and then keep going up. Tomorrow we could see it shoot up. But really, for me, I'm waiting to see how it's going to act around this 420 to 440-ish area. If it's going to kind of go, go through this area of 420 to 440, if it kind of goes through that like butter, there might be some pullbacks, right? Like this one, I got a pullback here. That was pretty. For the most part, it went up from about 360 to about 400 relatively easily. It was a pullback right here. I get it, but it wasn't as choppy as like this, where it kind of really went sideways for a while. So, and from here, from about 380 to about whatever this is, it's relatively went up with ease. So I think 420. We'll see how it handles 420 and if it gets over 420 through 440. But I'm definitely seeing lows, higher low, higher low, higher low. So could be, but that doesn't mean that it's gonna test back up here. It could, and luckily for me, your good buddy Brent, I have a trading style that is less dependent on accurately picking direction. Right? I definitely put some trades on that are directional based. But for the most part, I would say about 80 to 90% of my trading is done where it's very much like kind of doesn't matter which direction things go. And that's more of a long-term outlook for my portfolio. Doing that, and then I definitely have some trades, not all the time, but from time to time, that are very directional based. So if you want to be more in a position where you're less dependent on direction, learn how to do this. All right, so download that stuff, watch those playlists, paper trade it, and if you have any questions specifically about it, where it's not giving financial advice, but I don't know, just ask the question, and if I feel like it's not going to get me in legal trouble to answer it, I will. And if it's not really relevant to what I'm doing here, or if it's just kind of like argumentative, then I won't. You guys have a fantastic day. Aloha.